Hey guys, welcome back to Coin Knowledge. So today I kind of want to highlight a low cap altcoin in the SUI narrative, on the SUI blockchain, because I do think that SUI has obviously proven itself to be a very hot blockchain and a hot ecosystem because we've seen the token perform quite well over the 1 year. Obviously, for such a high cap, SUI has done some, pretty decent numbers, and I do think that finding low cap altcoins on the SUI blockchain within their ecosystem, one, provides a, in my opinion, better upside than actually buying SUI itself at a $10 million market cap. And I do think finding quality low cap altcoins on the SUI blockchain is becoming increasingly difficult as more attention and as more liquidity flows into the SUI ecosystem. So as always, if you guys get value out of the video, if you guys could consider subscribing to the channel and liking the videos, your support means everything. So again, we've covered why we're bullish on SUI. Obviously, we've seen them, run up from, about $500 million in market cap all the way up to recently here almost 11 billion. And I don't think SUI's done. Obviously people are comparing SUI's initial run up similar to the movements of something like a Solana from the last cycle. I don't know if it'll be that crazy, but I do think SUI definitely has more upside left in the tank for later throughout the cycle. So we can expect that if SUI runs similar as we've seen to altcoins on Solana or even Avalanche recently, if the native token of the chain or the ecosystem starts running, typically that money and liquidity kind of just flows further down into its ecosystem. So if you're bullish on SUI and you think SUI still has some upside later in the cycle, then it is reasonable to think that, SUI's ecosystem, as far as the altcoins underneath SUI, are also going to catch some of that liquidity coming from SUI's price action. Now, the one I want to talk about today is Artfi, because Artfi does fall into the RWA narrative. And again, it is built on SUI. I think that, RWA is going to be one of the hot narratives moving forward. It's one that I think does often get overshadowed by either memes, AI, or even gaming or DPIN. I don't think a lot of people are focusing on RWA at this moment, but that is how you get ahead of a curve. That's how you get ahead of the narrative before it does pump, is positioning yourself ahead of time, that way you're not chasing pumps whenever the narrative does start to take off. So now, when we look at Artfi, we will be comparing it to another token later on towards the end of the video to kind of give you guys my thesis on why I do think Artfi is undervalued currently. When we take a look at Artfi and what they focus on, they do focus on art. So as far as like, tokenization, like art, you see this is kind of their ecosystem. Now their website is a little kind of jumbled in my opinion. There's a lot going on here, but they do see, this is like their ecosystem here. They have their art share, art journals, where you can kind of, I think, like list artwork as well. So again, a little jumbled here in my opinion. They do have their white paper that kind of explains a little bit more of like what it is, what they do. Again, they see that the real world asset tokenization and AI are at the forefront. Artfi wants to combine these aspects, reshaping how we invest and collect art. Now, we've seen a few other projects, focus on the art side of tokenization in the RWA category, and some of them have done well. And again, we'll kind of go over the current evaluation of Artfi and why I think it is currently undervalued. But again, if we take a look at a couple key metrics, on their Twitter, it's not that it's anything big, but they are followed by SUI. So, obviously SUI, the blockchain, SUI's Twitter does acknowledge Artfi. For such a low market cap, it is pretty impressive to see. It's not often that we see such a low market cap kind of, being followed by the native chain. So SUI does follow them on Twitter, and they do put out constant updates, about their platform, about what's happening. We have other influencers talking about them, or some of the team members. So again, they are actively working. They also do token buybacks and burns, which again, that is something that we've seen a lot of other projects also implement into their ecosystem. One, it takes, it kind of handles some of the dilution, because yes, there is some dilution happening here on this project, which we'll go over with. But again, it is just a bullish thing to have in, someone's ecosystem. Again, they break down here on this most recent, I believe, token buyback and burn, the first one, exactly how it happens. Again, they save 30% of their revenue for token buyback and burn. 15% of it, comes from the seller commission. And then they do have like their explorer showing that, hey, we did do our first buyback and burn here. So having a project that does that, again, can help kind of negate some of the dilution. Now, obviously, dilution is going to be an issue in this project, which we'll go over with here in a little bit. But one thing about the Artfi token, so obviously it powers the Artfi ecosystem, again, on SUI, so it does facilitate transactions across the ecosystem, including payments, art offerings, trade, protocol activities. So again, and when you think about tokenization, artwork, in my opinion, does make a lot of sense because, one, people already trade it. You know, it is already something that's kind of like a little bit more niche and a little bit, you know, it's almost like the deed to a house. You know, you can own the painting, but if you could just sell the painting easily on the blockchain, it'd be a lot quicker, in my opinion. So again, I do think that artwork is something that does make sense for tokenization. And again, tokenization, a lot of projects are focusing on tokenizing, you know, a lot of things, maybe everything, but I think art definitely does make sense. So I think that is why we're seeing maybe a little bit of a surge in that specific niche of RWA right now with other art projects, which again, we'll cover later on in the video. They are on a few dexes right now, which we'll take a look at. They do have revenue sharing as well. So again, they dedicate 30% of its revenue to buyback and burn, thus increasing the value for token holders as well. So each part of the Artfi ecosystem, which we saw on their homepage in the beginning of the video, does have their unique or their own revenue stream, and our revenue share buyback and burn mechanism will be based on the total revenue generated by the whole ecosystem. So when we do take a look back at their ecosystem, again, you have all these going on right now. Now, about half of them are live, so this project is still, you know, relatively early on. I think it's been out, the token at least has been out for about 6 months here. And again, when we take a look, they do have their team, so they have their founder and co-founder right here. But if you go on their website and go to the bottom, you can click their LinkedIn. You can go through their team, see the background. They do seem qualified, in my opinion. So, you know, no red flags there. It looks like they do have a docs team, which is something you do want to take a look at. Now, when we look back where this project stands evaluation-wise, right now it is only sitting around a $2 million circulating market cap. Now, the FDV is 16 million, so again, there is some discrepancy there. There is some dilution, but if we do take a look at the vesting schedule, now I will say the one thing that I think hurts this project is the vesting. It does have daily unlocks. Now, it's not too harsh as far as the amount. It is, you know, about 20K being unlocked daily, but that is still selling pressure. Now, when we look at where early investors do sit, they are down still about 44% on their initial investment. You know, when we look at the IEO and IDO right now. Now, this thing actually did launch on Seedify. You know, admittedly not one of Seedify's best launches from their launch pad, but again, RWA hasn't been that hot of a narrative when you compare it to other hot narratives like gaming and AI. So I think it has been a little bit more slept on, and we haven't really seen SUI, in my opinion, the ecosystem of SUI take off fully. You know, I think we're still seeing SUI itself as a token kind of, you know, have that price appreciation and taking off itself, but I don't think we've seen that mass liquidity injection into the SUI ecosystem that I think we potentially could see throughout the cycle. Again, that is speculative, but either way, it is worth mentioning that early investors are still down about 44% on their money. So whereas they are getting some of their unlocks, I don't think, or some early investors are getting their unlocks, I don't think it's anything to be 100% worried about. And when we take a look at it, the pre-seed actually isn't going to start their unlock until here soon as well. So again, early investors aren't going to start getting their tokens until here a little bit, but this is kind of the breakdown of it as well. So a lot of different categories, but again, you can see where all the daily unlocks are coming from. So as far as right now, it looks like it's, you know, it does look like the daily unlocks, in my opinion, could potentially hinder it, but at such a low market cap, I do think, you know, with the buyback and burns, with the potential of maybe being such a low market cap on a hot ecosystem, it could potentially go up. Now, if we go towards the end of 2025, I want to say if you take the current supply that's going to be out, it's going to be like a $10 million market cap around there. So that could be about a 5 to 6x in dilution between now and the end of 2025. So that is something worth mentioning. But again, you do have to realize that I do think we're going to see a full-on altcoin season before then. And I do think that, you know, the token buyback and burns, if they start generating real revenue through their project, could help negate that a little bit. Obviously, it's not going to, you know, null it the whole thing, but I think it will help a little bit. Now, as far as Artfi, where it's listed, we can see it's already listed on quite a few exchanges. So it is on BitGet, KuCoin, Ghetto, Mexi, then obviously Cetus, so a DEX option on SUI. That's the way you want to go. But either way, it's easy to take a look at it. Now, obviously, it's up 80% for the 1 month, so it's starting to get a little attention, but I still think it is quite undervalued. Again, this thing launched back in June, about mid-June, earlier this summer, and as we all know, this summer was not that bullish of a time to be around. The markets weren't exactly taking off as we're seeing them right now, so that is another reason why I do think this price has seen, generally, sideways price action. Now it's only 10% down for the year, from when it launched, so still not that bad. And we look at the market cap. I mean, this thing got up to, I think at one point it was about a $5 million market cap, or just sub 5 million circulating. So, and not even that long ago, the market cap was under 2 million, about a 1 million. Now, in my opinion, especially when we look at the 7-day, we've seen that Artfi is already kind of getting back to that maybe $3 million market cap here recently, or at least on its way to it. I do think that people are going to start looking for low cap altcoins on the SUI network, because again, I think SUI is going to continue appreciating in price. Now, why am I bullish on Artfi and kind of the art section of RWA? Well, if you take a look over at ArtTrade, which does a similar thing in the RWA space. Now, this is not me saying that Artfi is on the same level as ArtTrade, because I do think, ArtTrade has a little bit more going on for it than Artfi does, but it's such a huge difference in market cap. Now, we can see that Artfi does focus on the art section of RWA as well. Now, the biggest difference to me is, one, again, I think their website, their project is a little bit more polished as well. They have, pretty more clear roadmap. They've been out for a little bit longer. Also, I mean, they've been out since like 2022. Again, it just won't show the market cap by then. But if we take a look at how ArtTrade has performed over the 1 year, we can see that ArtTrade, it's kind of done quite well over the 1 year. Even over the 1 month, this thing has came all the way from like 20 million market cap to where it is right now at almost a $7 million market cap. Now, it is built on Solana, so again, the difference is ArtTrade's been out for longer. I think its product and its whole ecosystem is a little bit more polished, in my opinion. It also does have the exchange listings as well, but same thesis, where it is in the art section of RWA, and it is on a hot chain, being Solana, and it sits at a $70 million market cap. Now, the dilution is very minimal. It is essentially fully diluted, so that is another reason why I do think ArtTrade has performed. Now, if we look back at Artfi, if Artfi was at a $70 million market cap with the same dilution, I don't think it would be worth it, in my opinion. Now, obviously, nothing I say is financial advice. Just give you guys my opinion on this project. But I do think at such a low market cap, at around a 2 million on the SUI blockchain, again, I think it is becoming a little bit more difficult to find quality low altcoins on the SUI blockchain. But I think they're in a hot narrative, RWA. We've seen art projects like ArtTrade do well here recently over the 1 month, up about a 3 to 4x over the 1 month. And they do have a docs team. We can find their LinkedIn. They're in the white paper. They're followed by SUI. They put out constant updates on their Twitter, on their X. And again, they have a vast ecosystem. Now, it'd be nice to see all this go live and actually start generating, quite a bit of revenue to kind of put a little bit more into that buyback and burn model that they have in place. But either way, guys, that's my opinion on Artfi. I do think if you're looking for a low quality altcoin on SUI, this could be a contender. And if you're looking for a low quality RWA pick, I think RWA is a hot narrative. I think SUI is a hot narrative, or going to be a hot chain ecosystem moving forward in the cycle. I don't think SUI's done at all. Again, I think it's going to continue performing well. And it does have several exchange listings. It was launched on Cetify, and it's been out for about 6 months. So those are some of the pros in Artfi. Let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think of this project? Do you see the potential here? Do you not? Do you have other low cap, either altcoins on the Solana or the SUI ecosystem, or just RWA as a whole? Comment them below, and I'll make sure to take a look at them. I try to answer all your guys' comments, and I appreciate all of them. And as always, if you guys want to know what I'm doing in these markets, if I'm making any buys or sells, consider joining the Patreon. It's also a great way, optional way of supporting the channel, and I do appreciate it. Or there is a Discord linked below. We can get in there and chat. And if you guys got value out of today's video, if you guys can like the video, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, see you guys.